we've been in the community of South Crest almost every day since the flooding happened exactly 4 weeks ago. And one thing that we've noticed from our own eyes is the number of volunteers have dwindled, but the need has not. When we went out there today to some of the homes on Beta Street, we saw many neighbors outside commiserating with one another, and one volunteer who says she is not giving up on them.
We need to prioritize where the rollout is and where the attention really needs to be focused on. Is number one, supporting the residents and getting back into their homes.
So what's step one from your eyes?
Step one right now is gut and muck and get these houses totally cleaned up, get them dried out, get them sanitized so that we can go into the rebuilding phase, which so many houses are already in rebuilding phase.
And what's that going to take? That's going to take money, manpower, organization?
Massive amounts of resources and manpower. We're paying for temporary housing when the houses that they could return to are literally sitting there rotting. So in the long run, where is the value spent? It needs to be both. There has to be temporary housing, temporary long-term housing, while we are getting the mucking and the rebuilding done. And so we ran a volunteer team of about 10 people from the larger community, and they came out and we started, we made a dent in the work that needs to happen. But the reality is that, you can see in here, this room hasn't been touched at all. And the mold is growing from behind the drywall. There's 150 houses all around Southeast San Diego that are still in this condition. And what you're seeing right now is like just a fraction of it. Mold mitigation at this point should be public enemy number one. You can see the difference between the color of that floor in there and the color of this floor right here. You can tell how wet this is. I got up underneath the house yesterday and got eyes on what this looks like underneath. Because it's on a raised platform, there's a pond underneath there. It looks like a swamp. And what's growing underneath this subfloor is green mold. And the fact that the county health department or the building inspectors haven't come up with a comprehensive plan, it makes me wonder why. It makes me wonder, is the intention to let these houses sit and rot so that then they can be condemned? These generational wealth, these families that have been here for 3 generations, you think that they're going to have money in order to pay to get the rehabs done? No, then the house is going to get foreclosed on.
And we do have a link on 10news.com on how you can volunteer. Coming up at 6, they're going to hear directly from the displaced victims on their specific needs. It's been exactly 4 weeks since the January 22nd storm flooded hundreds of homes and cars all throughout San Diego, leaving thousands of people with almost nothing to their name. The majority of folks denied by their insurance. Today, President Biden approved federal assistance for recovery efforts. At 5, we showed you how some of the volunteer groups are just overwhelmed with the amount of help needed. New at 6, displaced residents share their desperate pleas. I know there's a lot of needs. What would you say are the biggest needs right now?
I would say either manpower or donations. I'm a proud man. Don't ask anybody for anything, but man, it's overwhelming. Excuse me.
It's like everything you owned.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Gone in a second, man. In an hour.
And now you're
in an hour.
Temporary housing back and forth. You said the hotel.
Yeah.
You're fighting them. They're moving all your stuff.
Yeah. They put me in a hotel, and they put me in there for 2 weeks. So I'm here, 6, 7, 8 in the morning to work on the house, and then I'll leave at midnight, 1, 2. And on Saturday, we came back to the hotel, and all my stuff had been bagged up. Like, what happened? Well, we checked you out. I asked one of the ladies, I'm like, hey, can you help me out? They kicked me out of my hotel. I have, no place to go. I can come back here and sleep here, but...
You can't sleep here.
Exactly. And they were able to help me out and got me into another hotel.
I can only imagine what this does to everybody's mental health out here.
There's a typical rock bottom, in a sense, this is pretty much it, where you're homeless, all your stuff is gone, you have nothing to fall back on.
And everyone you've trusted seems to have abandoned you.
A lot more than what we think. You know, you're right. I've had a lot of friends that I didn't even know were that good of friends become family over this, and just the same, you know, friends and family never even bother to call.
And I met Antonio as he was standing outside just commiserating with his neighbors. They do tell me that the neighborhood is bonding like never before. We do have some links on our resource center on 10news.com for ways to volunteer and even donate.
It's heartbreaking.